That is awesome.
That's 18 12-volt batteries. So it has higher voltage.
Thank you.
Give us 2 thumbs up.
Thank you so much.
One final check of the battery voltage revealed a shocking result. Not only had the machine outlasted the expected battery life, but the batteries were still fully charged. This proved that the device was being powered from an unknown energy source.
Thank you.
This is one of the happiest days of my life.
Thank you.
And I am so proud of this man who has gone through so much. He's listened to the voice of the divine coming through him, and he's done whatever it takes to bring this through for humanity. So congratulations, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Ah. Now we're gonna get you well.
I got your emojis.
We just finished, just got back to the hotel after a completely successful vetting.
Oh my God. I really want to honor that this could not have happened without you. Every one of us would have left that situation. I am just super, super grateful for that. And I'm super grateful that we have an opportunity for people to see it, because it helps people so much to know what's possible.
The test we did yesterday is historic. I still am digesting it because it basically means the end of fossil fuels.
I'd say the main thing that I have learned personally from this trip, it's more a reinforcement of something that I know, but, you know, doubt now and then, is that whatever the question, the answer is always more love. Because our relationship with this inventor was on the rocks. You know, it was tempting to just say, hey, I came to help you. If you don't want it, we're out of here. And I know from past experience that, you know, wait through that. That's not a great emotional place to make a decision from. And we just kept telling him the truth, even when he didn't believe it, and then loving him even when he couldn't allow it in. And at the end, being with us, he could see that number one, our motives were true, and number two, we were treating him with love.
We've spent the last 8 years traveling the globe in search of insights and technologies that could radically transform our world. And we found them.
So why don't we all have access to these promising breakthroughs?
We don't have access to these world-changing breakthroughs because we're not allowed to have them. Virtually every solution we found has been made illegal or suppressed, often violently. Maxwell's been imprisoned and tortured to try to get his secrets, and he and his first partner, before Genius, were both poisoned. Maxwell's still recovering from it, and his partner died.
One of the painful reality I have seen in energy is this is a very dangerous game altogether. Yeah, especially free energy, because you know, as I said, if they can try to kill it using professional people, and that has happened to me. I went through a lot, poisons, like I'm saying right now. I'm fighting it. They come to you, then they said, no, you mustn't do this. When they see that, you know, you're not giving up, then they can just frame you. Then they can say, no, you've done ABC. My prayer is this thing must see the light of the day.
Innovators in any one sector often think that theirs is the only one being curtailed. That's not our conclusion. Dr. Young, whose non-pharmaceutical healing treatments were simple and effective, has also been imprisoned.
This is the spot where I was arrested. So I had 13 counts of fraud, 12 counts of practicing medicine without a license, and 1 count of conspiracy. I was found guilty on 2 charges of practicing medicine without a license. So out of those 320 clients, I was found guilty on practicing medicine. The one was changing an IV, and the other one was removing an IV bag. So that's what I'm guilty of. The sentence was the most extreme. It was 3.7 years.
On our way to see Dr. Young, we randomly stopped at a coffee shop where we met a woman who had worked with him at his ranch.
In my first week there, I delivered a plate of food to a resident in one of the trailers, and I remember seeing he had a tumor on the back of his head. After about a month or 2, he had checked out. He was ready to go home, and there was nothing but a smooth piece of gauze there, like it had just melted away. I remember just looking through the news one morning and seeing an article about a doctor from Valley Center who had been arrested or who was on trial, and when I clicked on it, I couldn't believe who it was. It just seemed, it makes me feel a bit emotional, actually. It seemed very wrong for somebody who just wanted to heal and help people to be put through that.
My approach is to educate and empower people on how to take care of their bodies. It's a self-care program. That we can have a debate is important. That we can talk about this openly without being threatened on either side.
When we first heard about Dr. Young, I looked him up on the internet, and it made him look like such a quack. I called my friend who had initially turned me on to him to say, "What's up with this guy?" And he said, "Look, I traveled with him for a year and watched a lot of people, including my mother, heal from stage 4 metastasized cancer. You have to check him out." It's totally humbling to see how impactful it is when slander's used to marginalize these breakthroughs. Even I fell into it, and I've been slandered myself.
So why and by whom are these innovations being suppressed? Is this just random bullying and corruption? According to our research, transformative breakthroughs in every sector are being systematically stifled in order to centralize authority. In our previous Thrive film, we detailed our conclusion that this suppression is the result of a well-organized agenda that is carried out through systems put in place at the highest levels of banking, government, medicine, food, energy, and information. Our investigations confirm that those seeking world domination, sometimes referred to as the globalist cabal, have the goal to suppress innovations in order to manipulate what we have, what we know, and what we do. Their agenda is not a thriving world for everyone, but global control by an elite few. In Thrive 1, we presented over 60 controversial facts detailing the structures and the strategies by which this agenda for control is being implemented. Not one of these facts has been successfully disputed. The globalists' intent is to take down America and any other powerful country in order to establish essentially a universal banking corporation to rule the world. The agenda is playing out like clockwork as we navigate the measures put in place as a result of the coronavirus.
Abiding by new government mandates makes sense to most people to protect against the spread of what we're told is an extremely contagious disease. But giving up rights has profound consequences under any circumstances. In fact, claiming our rights is at the core of our ability to get breakthrough innovations out, to create vibrant local communities, and even to choose what we do with our own bodies. How does someone get a right? Who gives it? Who takes it away? The question of rights really revolves around the issue of authority. Authority means the right to rule, not just the ability to control somebody, but the right to forcibly dominate other people. So how does somebody get this legal authority, this right? If I, as a single human being, can't legally stop you from taking a medicine that you believe will help you, then why and how does a government official claim the right to do it? There's both a rational and a moral incoherence here.
If I don't have the moral right to do a certain thing, and my neighbor doesn't have the right to do it either, how could we possibly have given somebody else, government or anybody else, the right to do it? Morality doesn't work that way. If it's wrong for me and him and him and him and him and him, it's wrong for anybody, including government. Even if they have constitutions, even if they have elections, even if they call it legislation, it's still wrong. You can't make something bad into something good by doing a bunch of weird pseudo-religious rituals and calling it law. It's still wrong. The majority of people who enable authoritarian injustice are not trying to be bad, but they've been taught to believe that obedience is a virtue, that paying your taxes is a good thing, that obeying the law is a good thing. And so you get a bunch of well-intentioned, decent people accidentally enabling evil because ruling classes don't pay for themselves. They don't fund themselves.
You would never convince people to reach in their pockets and come up with the money to go invade 7 countries in the Middle East. It would never happen without the notion of centralized authority as a state, as an authoritarian government. We've got clean ways to access energy, natural ways to prevent and heal illness, and tools to accelerate our expanding consciousness. And yet I believe unraveling this belief in authority holds the most important key to our survival.
The government and the state is particularly challenging because it takes away the interpersonal nature of violence, which is one of the things that limits violence. So it's the outsourcing of violence which tends to make it escalate.
Some people have the idea that if something is legal, it's moral. All of the persecution of the Jews in Nazi Germany were legal, but I think few people would say that it was moral. That's what government does. It tries to make immoral moral by giving it the blessing of legality.
More than 200 million people were killed just by their own governments, not even counting war, in the last 100 years. And obviously that's not what proponents of government want.
There are 2 giant cons, and if we understand these, we can understand the predicament we're in and the way to get free.